UVA may be 2-0, but they're still not quite sure exactly how good they are in Charlottesville. After a game on Saturday that they were just downright lucky to win over Penn State, it gets serious for the Wahoos this weekend. Kyle Fuller was the defensive back who was beaten on that final play, and he took credit for the loss after the game was over. But he also said defensive backs have to have short memories. Well, this will be a tough loss to forget. Well, this year's running backs at LC Bird have some big little shoes to fill. Last year's 5'6" tall Metro Player of the Year, Yaki Johnson, is gone. This is one of the most highly anticipated games in this stadium's history, and it couldn't have started worse. The University of Richmond is going to have a men's lacrosse program, but the excitement of that announcement is tempered by the agonizing decision that comes along with it. Because of Title IX and the limited resources of a small campus, 2 other sports are paying the price. This race is usually a good barometer to see who is going to win the cup. In the 8 years of the chase, the eventual champion has won here 4 times and finished in the top 5 every year. Well, the math says that a team that is 500 is mediocre, middling, average, but a Virginia Tech football team that is 500 is disappointing, disheartening, and so far a disaster. Well, you may not have known it at the time, but Justin Verlander had a hand in why tonight's Game 1 of the World Series was not at his home park. The Goochland product suffered the loss in the All-Star game, giving up 5 runs in 1 inning and assuring the National League would get home field advantage in the World Series. So instead of pitching in Detroit tonight, he was pitching in San Francisco. And there aren't many sports bars in Goochland County, but some area Verlander fans came out to the 250 Sports Grill in Oilville to watch him take the hill tonight. Several Goochland residents who know Verlander may not be the biggest of baseball fans, but they say the local star definitely makes them pay more attention.
It's so exciting. I mean, even if we don't...
2 players on the Giants playoff roster played for the Squirrels, shortstop Brandon Crawford and first baseman Brandon Belt. And right now they're a little more happy at RIR than they are in Goochland. In the 9th inning, the Giants are about to win Game 1. Verlander was shelled, going just 4 innings and giving up 5 runs, his shortest outing in over a year. Giants third baseman Pablo Sandoval has become the 4th player to hit 3 homers in a World Series game. That game's in the 9th inning. Well, replacing one of the best players in the history of the VCU program will not be easy. But the fact that he's the only guy that needs to be replaced makes it a little easier. The Rams feel prepared to move on without Bradford Burgess. Last year's lone senior played in more games in the black and gold than any other player ever. VCU is hoping it has enough leadership to fill the void, certainly from senior point guard Darius Theus, but also from 6 other guys who averaged 15 minutes or more played per game last year.
You know, my freshman year, to have, multiple guys step up.
The Rams have their lone exhibition game a week from tomorrow at the Siegel Center against Virginia Union. And that's sports. We'll be right back. Hermitage graduate and former Richmond star John Hilton played receiver for 8 seasons in the NFL, spanning from the late 60s to the early 70s.
A butkus hit me. He hit me in the kidney, and I peed blood for 2 weeks.
But were you back out there playing after that?
Yes.
Collegiate school grad and former Spider Ray Easterling was a safety for the Falcons in the 70s.
I mean, I was knocked totally out in '77 against the Rams. Woke up with the trainers and doctors over me. Was helped to the sideline, only missed 3 plays.
These stories of toughness have had long-lasting effects on these warriors of the gridiron.
How many concussions have you had? And I said, about 50. She said, you had 50? I said, yeah, that's just 1 season out of 9.
Both Hilton and Easterling show signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a degenerative disease found in individuals who've had multiple concussions. Those with CTE show the symptoms of dementia, memory loss, confusion, aggression, and depression. Hilton has recently lost his license and was kicked off the golf course he lives on for aggressively arguing with fellow golfers.
The more hits you take with a helmet and the jarring, you don't realize it sneaks up on you. All of a sudden, you can't remember this, you can't remember that.
Easterling, a workout fiend at 62 years old, recently had an accident chopping wood and took off most of his right thumb.
But that's the insidiousness of the disease. It's like a silent predator. You don't know that something's skewing your judgment.
This pair of Richmond football legends realized their childhood dreams of playing in the NFL. But now, 30 years later, both have second thoughts about picking the game up at all.
I've got grandchildren. I don't want to get into football.
I don't know the timeline of how much quality of life I have left. It's probably anywhere from 12 to 18 months. I'll never knowingly see my grandkids. It's such a short window of time to struggle with something for 30 years. It's not worth the trade-off.
From a distance, this single football play does not look like much. One player scoring a touchdown in what seems like slow motion. But to understand the emotion of this play, you need to know the story. This is 13-year-old David Flint. David loves football, even though he can't play.
When we do our warm-ups, when we do our calisthenics, David does what he can, and then he's just really a help to the coaches.
At first, when he was 4 or 5, they thought he wouldn't be able to walk without without assistance of some method. So he's had braces his whole life.
He's really special to our team, helps us out, always positive, always keeping us in a good mood.
I keep myself interacted in the game as well as keep my teammates hyped up about the game, even if we're getting killed, which happens a lot, it seems.
Well, David's sort of right. In his 5th year as manager and 2nd as play-by-play announcer, the Wildcats weren't having their best season. They were concluding their year against Clover Hill, the dominant school in the league. The Wildcat coaching staff knew winning was probably out of the question, so they came up with another idea.
You know, our hope was to get him in for a play. Like I said, if we could get him in on a kickoff, put him into a position where he wasn't going to be in danger, and just let everybody know, we would have been satisfied with that.
Me and my other coaches, we decided, let's do one better. Why don't David score a touchdown?
I was standing around, waiting, had my mouth guard in, with my helmet, very hot outfit, I might add, because I had never been in there before.
Set up a play called War Eagle, and War Eagle was basically, we formed a little cocoon around David, handed him the ball, and just went right up the middle.
David Flint, number 68, taking the ball from Chris Sheets, number 35, running down the middle. What a block! He cuts up the middle. Keep going. 30. He's still going. Still got blockers downfield. Couple men to beat. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, number 68. David Flint. And both teams come out from the sideline to congratulate him.
I don't think there was a dry eye on either sideline.
Both sides of the field, the parents, the spectators, really got into it.
The kids decided amongst themselves to, hey, Coach, can we give David the game ball? And we haven't given a game ball out all year.
When that happened, it made me feel really good. I felt like I did something good that day.
I'm not one to take much publicity on myself, but that did feel good to do that.
10 years from now, these kids are getting out of college. They're not going to remember who won the game, but they will remember David Flint's touchdown.